name is Eliza Hogan, and this is my grandmother and author of Nipper, Amey Lewis.
Thank you, Eliza, and thank you to the Pat Conroy Literary Center for having me.
So Nana, Nipper of Drayton Hall received the coveted Kirkus Star review. Kirkus review says that Nipper is a graceful, episodic story set in 1916 about South Carolina's Drayton Hall plantation, told through the eyes of a lively black and white dog, Nipper, who really lived there. At the beginning of the story, you write that this story is just about true. Why is that so?
Well, a little background. I fell in love with the history of Drayton Hall through friendship with my dear pal, Ann Drayton Nelson. She told me many, many years ago about Charlotta Drayton, who was Nipper's owner, and she told me about a growth chart that was on the inside of one of the doorways of Drayton Hall. And that's where each of the Drayton children were measured every year. Charlotta, having no children, loved her dogs, and so she would measure them when they came out. Nipper's name is right up there with all the Drayton children on the inside of that doorway at Drayton Hall. So I felt like this story about Drayton Hall that Anne had told me so much about needed to be told to children. And so I decided, all right, well, I'll tell that story and tell it through the eyes of Nipper. Let Nipper be the narrator. And so I simply imagined what a day at Drayton Hall with Nipper might be like, and while the facts that are in the book about Drayton Hall itself, the dialogue and the story is something that is my imagination. So it's just about true story.
In the story and in real life, Nipper's best friend is an 8-year-old African American named Richmond Bowens. Richmond even saves Nipper's life when he catches himself amidst a hungry alligator. You reached out to Richmond's cousins to ask for permission to tell Richmond's story, who had this to say about the book. Our cousin Richmond Bowens loved Drayton Hall and the many stories he told about it over the years. Now we have this delightful book. It's a pleasure for people of all ages and tells a story that Richmond himself would have loved to read and share with others. Can you tell us a little bit about Richmond's role in the story of Nipper?
Well, Richmond Bowens' family, along with the Draytons, were 7th generation inhabitants of Drayton Hall. So the legacy of Drayton Hall is just as much about the Bowens family as it is about the Drayton family. And I wanted to honor their part in the history of Drayton Hall. And so I thought, well, there's something to be said about a young African-American boy being the hero of the story, as he is in the story of Nipper. And I realized, too, that most dogs are, as Nipper was, colorblind, meaning that he loved and valued Richmond Bowens just as much as he did Charlotta.
The Drayton's family motto was, and is, Hac itered astra, which is Latin for, this way to the stars. Can you talk about why you chose to emphasize that in the book and its importance in the story?
Well, as you know, and as Nipper tells the reader, that the motto found on a family crest suggests what the family stands for. This way to the stars, Hac itered astra, clearly defines both the Draytons and the Bowens family as they take their place in history. And one of it is for Nipper to perhaps want to reach for the stars.
Thank you for sharing this story and leaving this legacy for our family, just as Charlotta Drayton and Nipper left a legacy for generations to come.
Eliza, before we close, I would like to let people know that Drayton Hall now has its own beautiful interpretive center, completed 2 years ago, and this center offers visitors great insight into the history of Drayton Hall through visuals, the decorative arts, artifacts that are still being discovered at Drayton Hall. So Drayton Hall is open every day except Christmas Day. So please
Please go visit.
go visit Drayton Hall.
Thank you.